my channel. I like reading romance, fantasy romance, paranormal romance, any kind of genre of romance in general. And I also happen to have cerebral palsy, and it would mean the world to me if you would subscribe to my channel. Happy Monday! Today's video is going to be a spicy romance recommendation video. And most of these recs are going to be BDSM recommendations, except for one book. And the first book I'm going to mention is The Frat Boy by Nikki Sloan. And it is about Colin and Madison, who are both in college, who are both in fraternities. And Colin and Madison both got kicked out of their respective fraternities. If you haven't read the book, I'm not going to tell you why they got kicked out because I don't want to spoil anything, but they need a place to live. So Colin and Madison separately answer this ad in the papers about this building, but when they get there, they realize the owner of this building is part of the adult entertainment industry, and in order to stay in that building, they have to audition, and their audition partner happens to be each other. Colin and Madison do not like each other. It's each other's fault that they got kicked out of their prospective fraternities. But in order to stay where they are, they have to scene together. And it goes from enemies to lovers. And Colin definitely falls for Madison first. It's very steamy, it's very spicy, and I like that you can tell the difference when they're performing on camera and when they're just together personally because they want to be. You can tell the difference between them and between those scenes, and I really liked it. It was very spicy. The next recommendation I have for you is Desperate Measures by Katie Roberts. It is book 1 in her Wicked Villain series, and I read this series because of Rachel from Rachel Reads and Sings, Ava from Ava's Romance Books, and Jen from the Book Refuge, because they always talk about this series, and I wanted to read the first book. And this series is about, if you don't know, that the villains in the Disney stories are good and they get their happily ever after. This in Desperate Measures, it's about Jafar and Jasmine, and Jafar and Jasmine have this relationship, this dom-sub relationship, and Jasmine wants to get away from her father because in the story, her father and Aladdin are evil, and she needs Jafar's help to get away from them. Jafar is Jasmine's dad, like he's his advisor. So Jafar agrees to help Jasmine, but in return she has to be in a BDSM relationship with Jafar she has to be his submissive. So in order to get herself out of the situation she's in, Jasmine said yes. It's very spicy. It has daddy kink in it. I liked it. But if you're not into daddy kink, don't read this book. But if you are, read this book. The next book I'm gonna mention to you is probably an author her name is Ella Dominguez, and the one book by her I've read is called This Love's Not for Sale, and it's about this land developer, this rich mogul, and this dentist, and I haven't read this book in a long time, so I don't remember their names, but the hero is the rich land developer, and the heroine is the dentist, and they know each other because he went to her office for dental work, and once he meets the client, he rings the doorbell and finds out that it is the dentist, and he wants her land that her house is situated on, but he's also very attracted to her. But she does not want to sell her house because it's her grandmother's house, but he keeps coming to her house just to ask if she's willing to sell, and she says no all the time, but through that they form a friendship, and something happens where he needs to go back home to his family, and the hero asks the heroine to go back home with him. But the problem in their relationship is he's really into the dominant and submissive relationship, and she is not. So that's the point of contention with them, and you have to read also, he really wants her plot of land, so you have to read the book to find out how this all works out. But I really liked it. It's called This Love's Not for Sale by Ella Dominguez. Next, I'm probably going to mention another author you haven't heard of, The Mistresses of the Boardroom series by Joey W. Hill. And this series is all about the female being the dominant one. And the first book in that series is called At Her Command. And the first book follows Rosalind, who needs a bodyguard because she owns a company, a very successful company, but someone is trying to kill her. So her friend suggests Lawrence, an ex-Navy SEAL, and so Lawrence becomes her bodyguard, but Lawrence is also a submissive, into a mistress sub-relationship, and I really liked it because I don't see ones where the female is dominant other than Mercy by Sarah Kate. And I really like their relationship. You can tell that from Lawrence's past that he had a very bad relationship. Like, his girlfriend was always making him feel bad. And through his relationship with Rosalind, he gets his confidence built back up. The next book in that series is called At Her Service, and this book is really interesting because this book is about Rosalind's friend Abby, and Rosalind's friend Abby has schizophrenia, and it's her story, and her hero is Neil, and Neil has been trying to get Abby to be in a relationship with him for a while now, but Abby thinks their relationship is not going to work because they are both dominants, but Neil knows that their relationship can work because he suggests that they take turns being dominant and submissive to each other. But another point of contention in their relationship is how Gabby deals with her schizophrenia, and I don't want to spoil anything in this book, because if I go into detail, it will spoil the book. I liked it. I never read a book about schizophrenia before, so it was very interesting to talk about mental health and going to therapy and taking medicine, and I just thought it was very interesting. The last book in that series is called At Her Call, and this involves Rosalind and Abby's friend. She is speechless. In the book, they call her mute, but she is a dominant, but she cannot speak, and it's her story with her submissive. I haven't read this book yet, so I don't know what happens. I just know she's mute because
the correct term is speechless. She is speechless, but in the book they use the word mute, but the correct term is speechless.
Something different because they all deal with mental health issues. BDSM is healing. I suggest checking out Joey W. Hill's Mistresses of the Boardroom. Those are all the recommendations I have for you today. I have many more recommendations, so I'm probably going to do a part 2. Let me know down in the comments below if you have read any of these books. I would love to know. And please let me know if you have any recommendations for me. Bye. I'll see you Wednesday.